She nursed the cowboy back to health, unaware he was the millionaire behind the town's only hospital. "Hey, are you still breathing?" The man on the porch didn't answer right away. Clara Fernandez dropped to her knees beside him, her cotton nightgown sticking to her legs, soaked by the rain. The man was face down, blood dripping from his temple, his shirt torn, muddy, his boots scraped by gravel. A wide-brimmed hat lay beside him, rain pooling in its crown. "Senor, can you hear me?" she asked, voice sharp with panic. His fingers twitched, then slowly, painfully, he rolled to his side. Rain ran down his jaw, washing away some blood. He blinked at her, pupils wide but focused. His lips moved, barely forming words. "Por favor, no llames a la policía." "Please don't call the police." Clara froze. "What? You need a hospital." "No, just one night, please." She looked around. The woods beyond the barn were quiet, but not peaceful. Quiet, like something was waiting. She heard it. The low growl of an engine through the trees. Lights flickered in the distance, dancing between pines. "Who's after you?" she whispered. He winced. "You don't want to know." Clara stood, heart racing. She grabbed his arm, pulling him up with strength she didn't know she had. "Move now." "I can't." "You can and you will." With his arm over her shoulder, they limped across the wet gravel to the back of the barn at Estancia Fernandez. She struggled to open a hatch under an old horse trough, revealing a hidden cellar for storing feed during storms. "Get in," she hissed. He looked at her, stunned. Do you want to die on my porch or live to see sunrise?" With a pained grunt, he dropped into the hole just as the headlights crept toward her land. She slammed the hatch shut and pulled a tarp over it. She took a breath, wiped her hands on her wet dress, and walked to the front of the barn as a black pickup rolled into her yard. Namchai. 3 men got out, broad shoulders, dark jackets, eyes like predators. "Buenas noches, senora," said the driver, stepping forward with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Good evening, ma'am. Sorry to bother you so late. We're looking for someone. Might have limped through here." Clara narrowed her eyes. This is private property, right?" she said. He kept smiling. "Just asking if you saw a man in a cowboy hat, about 6 feet, bleeding, maybe off after causing trouble." Clara crossed her arms. "No one's come by here." "You sure?" another man asked. Circling toward the barn, she stepped forward, voice rising. "I said no one. I live alone, and I don't like strangers on my land." The first man raised his hands in mock surrender. "No offense, ma'am. Just doing a local patrol." "I'll call the sheriff if you don't leave now." The men exchanged a look. Then quickly they turned back to the truck and drove off. Clara waited until their taillights vanished beyond the trees before sprinting to the barn. She threw off the tarp and opened the hatch. "They're gone," she whispered. "Come on, we need to get you inside." Mateo Vargas groaned, but climbed up with her help. By the time she got him to the living room, he was pale, shaking, mumbling nonsense. She laid him on the couch, then ran to the bathroom. She grabbed gauze, pads, alcohol, bandages, anything she could find. She returned with warm water and a towel, heart pounding. "Hey, I'm not a nurse," she said more to herself, "so you better not die, cowboy." She cleaned the gash on his head, biting her lip when he winced. Sorry. He didn't respond, just closed his eyes, jaw tight. "This might sting," she whispered, pressing alcohol to a cut near his ribs. His body tensed, then he exhaled, whispering, "It already does." She tried to smile, but it faded. "You're lucky I found you first." His eyes opened, softer now. "Maybe you're the unlucky one." Clara paused, the cloth in her hand red. "Why are they after you?" "I made powerful enemies. Drugs, gambling, truth," he whispered. "I told the truth. Wrong place, wrong time." Clara stared. There was steadiness in his gaze despite the pain. Something deep, broken. "You need rest. We'll talk in the morning." "I'll be gone by then." "No," she said firmly. "You're not going anywhere until I say so." He chuckled, a dry, aching sound. You're very persuasive, Senorita Fernandez. Clara Fernandez. He nodded once before closing his eyes. Clara sat by the couch, staring at the fire she lit in the hearth. Her hands trembled as she covered him with a blanket. Huh. Her mind screamed to call the sheriff, to report a stranger hiding in her home, but a quiet voice inside said, "He's not the monster here." She stood watching him breathe, shallow but steady. Clara knew what to do. She turned off the porch light, locked the door, and stayed by the couch all night, just in case the shadows returned. Buenos días. The storm passed by morning, leaving the world wet and quiet. Mist hung low over the pasture, wrapping trees in fog. Inside the cabin, Clara moved carefully. No more adrenaline. Now came doubt. What if she hit a criminal? What if those men came back? What if he died on her couch? Tante. She carried tea and toast to the living room. Mateo was unconscious, face turned to the couch, chest rising slowly. At least that's something. She set the tray down and pulled the blanket higher. "Hey," she said softly, crouching beside him. "Are you awake?" No response. She touched his forehead. Warm. Too warm. "You have a fever." She went to the bathroom, finding an old thermometer and painkillers. She cursed herself for not having a better first aid kit. When she returned, he was stirring, brow furrowed, lips parting. Daniel. Clara froze. That name again, mumbled in the night. She placed the thermometer between his lips before he could speak. He squinted at her, confused. "You have a fever," she said, forcing calm, "and you're not going anywhere." He didn't argue. She checked his temperature, 100.1. "You need antibiotics. A hospital?" "No," he rasped. "They'll find me." "I think they already did. You're lucky I lied for you." He shifted, winced, and met her eyes. "Why did you?" Clara didn't answer right away. She looked at his bruised face, still holding stubborn dignity. "I don't know," she admitted. "Maybe I saw something in your eyes. Fear, desperation. Or maybe you looked at me like I was your last chance." He smiled faintly. "You were." She felt a rush of something strange. Gratitude, maybe danger. She stood quickly. "Well, if I'm your nurse now, let's hope I don't kill you by accident." "I've had worse." Clara shook her head, trying not to smile. She brought him tea, helped him sit up, and placed the cup in his hands. "What's your name?" she asked. He hesitated. "Mateo." "Last name?" "Just Mateo." Clara raised an eyebrow. "Fine, just Mateo. At least tell me what happened." He sipped the tea, then sighed. "Some men don't like loose ends." "That's vague and scary." No, I wish it were prettier." Clara sat across from him, arms crossed. "You said something about truth, telling it at the wrong time. What does that mean?" Mateo didn't speak for a while, eyes on the fireplace, flames flickering softly. "I tried to expose something. They shut me up. Now they want to finish it." Clara leaned forward, firmer. "Look, Mateo, if I'm risking my life for you, I need more than hints. What did you expose?" His lips tightened. "A cover-up in a place meant to be safe." "A hospital?" He looked up, startled. She blinked. "You said something in your sleep. Daniel and Hospital Vargas. That's our hospital in San Nicolas. Well, it used to be." "It's private now." Mateo stared, silent. "That's it, isn't it?" Clara said. "You're tied to that place." He set the cup down carefully. "Do you really want to know?" "I need to." Mateo leaned back, grimacing. "Not today." Clara wanted to push, but his tone stopped her. She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Fine, but if men with guns show up, I want answers." "I won't let them hurt you," he said. She studied him. "You say that like a promise you made before." "I have." The room went quiet. The fire crackled. Outside, birds sang, as if the world had moved on. Clara stood and closed the curtains. She turned to Mateo, who looked smaller in the morning light. Not weak, just human. "I'll make soup. It's the only thing I cook that won't kill you." He gave a half smile. "That's a start." As Clara walked to the kitchen, her hands still trembled, But her heart steadied. She didn't know who Mateo was. Not yet. But something said this bleeding stranger on her couch would change everything. 2 days passed. Mateo healed slowly. The swelling on his jaw faded, bruises turning from purple to yellow. Clara helped him move to the spare room, though he insisted on limping around the porch, breathing the pine air, saying it cleared his head. She let him, but watched the horizon every evening. She had no clear answers. He stayed polite, guarded. He ate her food, thanked her always, even offered to chop firewood when his strength returned. He was a perfect guest, but shaped by shadows. One morning, Clara found him fixing the fence at Estancia Fernandez with spare wire and rusted pliers. "You don't need to work," she called from the porch. Mateo looked back, squinting against the sun. "Not much else to offer but muscle," he said. "You could offer your real name." He smiled, but didn't answer. Clara sighed, leaning against the fence post. "You talk in your sleep," she said quietly. "I know. You keep saying Daniel and something about they knew the dose was wrong." "What was that?" Mateo's hands froze on the wire. "Nah." He stayed silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke, voice low. "Daniel was my brother." Clara blinked. "Was?" "He died in a hospital, not from an accident or illness. He died because someone cut corners and lied about it." She stared. "Hospital Vargas." Mateo nodded once. "Were you a patient there too?" "No." He met her eyes. "I built it." Her breath caught. Before she could reply, engines roared across the fields. They turned sharply. 3 black trucks barreled toward them, dust rising, sunlight glinting off their frames like hungry wolves. Clara's breath stopped. Mateo dropped the pliers, body stiff, jaw tight. "Ta adentro, ahora," he snapped. "Inside now." "You're not going out there alone," she protested. "I'm not letting them get you. I'm not the one they want. You will be if they think you're with me." One man had spotted them, pointing from the truck's window. "Go," Mateo barked. Clara spun, running not to the house, but the barn. She threw herself behind the heavy door, heart pounding. Peering through a crack, she saw Mateo swing onto a nearby horse. No saddle, no bridle, just instinct and desperation. He kicked the horse's sides. It shrieked and lunged forward. Mateo clung tight, reins whipping as they raced across the field. The trucks tore through the fence, splinters flying, tires screaming, engines roaring. A sharp crack rang out. A warning shot. Clara gasped, ducking, fingers digging into the wood. Mateo hunched low, whispering to the horse. They thundered down the slope, hooves pounding, water spraying as they crossed a shallow creek. The trucks skidded behind, tires spitting rocks and dirt. Nah. In the lead truck, a man leaned out, revolver glinting. Tomas Salazar. Mateo's eyes cut to the woods. No hesitation, he yanked the reins. The horse veered, muscles straining, and plunged into the dense trees. Fog twisted between pines, hiding them. Within seconds, Mateo vanished. The truck stopped at the forest's edge, metal groaning, doors slammed, boots hit the ground. The men went in on foot, guns drawn, shouting orders. Clara stood frozen, breath ragged, heart loud enough to betray her. 10 minutes passed, 20. Then a raw cry tore through the valley. Without thinking, Clara ran. Branches scratched her face, mud pulled at her boots, but she didn't stop. She tore through the woods up a slippery slope. There they were. In a misty clearing, Mateo stood alone. Blood streaked his temple, shirt torn, muddy. One attacker writhed on the ground, clutching his ribs. The other 2 stalked toward Mateo, guns drawn. 3 against 1. Mateo didn't flinch. With a roar, he tackled the nearest man, both crashing into the mud, fists flying. Grunts, curses, bodies hitting earth. But behind him, a click. "Enough," Tomas growled, voice deadly. Mateo froze, chest heaving. Clara pressed against a tree, a silent scream in her throat. Then sirens cut through the mist, sharp and high. Thomas swore. The men scrambled, dragging their wounded friend, sprinting to the trucks. Engines roared. Clara stumbled forward, legs shaking. Blue lights flashed through the fog. 2 patrol SUVs skidded to a halt. Deputies leaped out, weapons drawn. Mateo, battered and bloody, dropped to his knees, hands raised. Sheriff Ramirez narrowed his eyes, then lowered his rifle. Caramba, he muttered. Good heavens, that's Mateo Vargas. Clara's world tilted. Vargas, as in Hospital Vargas. She staggered closer, seeing Mateo clearly. No defenses left, no secrets, just truth, raw and real. Clara stood frozen as the name echoed in her mind. She'd heard it before, in whispers, old headlines. San Nicolas gossip about the man who built Hospital Vargas and vanished. Some called him a fraud, others a hero. No one knew the truth. She thought Mateo was just a drifter, running from something small. But this was a storm, years in the making. As deputies helped him to their SUV, Clara stepped aside, heart pounding. Mateo looked at her once, his face unreadable, carrying 1,000 unspoken truths. Senora, Sheriff Ramirez said, tipping his hat, we'll need your statement. She nodded. Of course. Mateo was taken in, not cuffed, but not free. Clara followed in her truck, gripping the wheel so tight her fingers hurt. At the station, she sat numb in the waiting area. The sheriff returned. That cowboy you hid isn't just anyone. That's Dr. Mateo Vargas. Clara blinked. Doctor? Harvard trained, founded Hospital Vargas, ran it until things went bad. His brother Daniel died, supposed overdose, eh? The board blamed Mateo. He vanished. Some thought he killed himself. Turns out, he went underground. Clara barely heard the rest. Her mind spun. Etta. Later, she was led to a small room where Mateo sat, bruised and bandaged. He looked up as she entered, silent. She closed the door. You lied to me. I didn't tell the truth, he said softly. There's a difference. You said your name was just Mateo. It is. Vargas is a name I left behind. Why? She asked, arms crossed. Because people die when they tell the truth. I tried to protect Daniel. He found problems in the hospital's pharmacy records. Fake data, dangerous mistakes. He told me I said I'd shield him. The next day he was dead. Clara's breath caught. They called it an allergy, but someone changed his file after. Who did it? Tomas Salazar and 2 others on the board. Daniel had proof they cut corners, stole money. Why not go to the police? I did. They said I was grieving. I tried to go public. The board turned it against me. Within a week, I was ruined, so I disappeared to gather proof quietly. Until they found you, Clara said. Mateo nodded. Tomas must have known I was back in San Nicolas. Clara looked away, wiping her eyes. I'd have helped if you told me. I didn't want to drag you in. You already did. They fell silent. Then Mateo spoke, softer. I didn't think I'd survive that night. I was ready to die, but you opened the door. Clara swallowed. You saved my life too, Mateo, before I knew who you were. He looked up, exhaustion in his eyes, but truth. I don't know everything, she said, but you're not the villain they made you, and you loved your brother. Mateo's jaw tensed. He nodded. I'll help you, Clara said. We'll finish what Daniel started. Clara had never been inside Hospital Vargas before, not since it changed hands. It looked like a business now. Polished floors, cold lights, the warm antiseptic smell gone, replaced by something sterile. The old plaque with Mateo's name was gone, replaced by a sleek metal logo. She stood in the lobby, clutching a worn folder. Inside were copies of Mateo's documents, patient reports, pharmacy lists, Daniel's handwritten notes, pages Mateo guarded like treasures. Clara walked to the reception desk and took a breath. I'm here to see Dr. Morales, she said calmly. Say, the receptionist raised an eyebrow. Appointment? No, but he'll want to see me. It's about Dr. Mateo Vargas. The name shifted the room's energy. She picked up the phone, muttered something, then nodded to the hallway. "Third floor, last door on the right." Dr. Morales was one of the last who knew Mateo before the scandal. A respected surgeon, older, cautious, neutral. Clara hoped he had a conscience. She found him behind a desk, reading a file with a magnifier on his glasses. He looked up slowly. "Can I help you?" "I'm Clara Fernandez," she said. "I have information about Daniel Vargas and Mateo." The name made him flinch. He leaned back, studying her. "Go on." She placed the folder before him. "Mateo's alive. He's been hiding since the incident. Now they tried to kill him again. Thomas Salazar and his men." Dr. Morales opened the folder, flipping through Daniel's handwriting, pharmacy logs, forged approvals. His expression shifted from indifference to disbelief, then quiet horror. "I always knew something was wrong," he muttered. "Daniel was careful, brilliant. He checked everything. The allergy note in his chart. It was gone the day after he died." Clara sat across from him. "Mateo needs someone to verify this, someone trusted." Dr. Morales looked at her. "And you?" "I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a woman who found a bleeding man on her porch and didn't let him die. I didn't know who he was. Now I do, and I believe him." He studied her, then nodded slowly. "I kept copies of old staff reports. The board made us destroy everything, but I saved them. I didn't know why, but maybe this is why." They sifted through files, piecing together rosters, logs, emails. Clara's heart raced as the truth formed. Tampered records, fake signatures, wrong prescriptions. Every page backed Mateo's story. That evening, Clara returned to the station. Mateo sat on a cot, reading a worn paperback. She dropped the updated folder on his lap. "Dr. Morales remembers," she said, "and he has proof." Mateo blinked, stunned. "He helped you?" "He believed me and believes you." Mateo exhaled, flipping through the papers, hands trembling slightly. "This is it," he whispered. "What I needed 5 years ago." Clara sat beside him. "Then let's make sure it doesn't get buried again." They worked for hours. Mateo guided her through names, dates, connections. Clara typed a clean timeline on her laptop while Mateo marked documents, highlighting forged signatures, altered doses, every person who hid the truth. When they finished, Mateo leaned back, exhausted. I never thought I'd get this far." "Why not?" "Because the world moves on. People forget. Justice is slow, brutal. By the time it catches up, most stop looking." Clara looked at him, voice quiet. "Good thing you had someone still looking." Mateo turned to her, silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "You shouldn't have had to do this." "No," she agreed, "but I'd do it again." He reached for her hand, fingers brushing hers. "Gracias," he whispered. "Thank you." Clara smiled. "You're not done, Vargas. We have one more thing to do." "What's that?" "Make all of San Nicolas listen." That night, Mateo wrote a letter, a statement of truth in his own hand, detailing everything from Daniel's death to the night he bled on Clara's porch. Clara, with steady typing and sharp instincts, made it powerful, personal, factual, devastating. Together, they prepared it for the world. The truth was ready to breathe. The town hall was quiet at dusk. Just the buzz of old lights and creaking floorboards echoed in the empty chambers. Clara stood by the window, watching shadows stretch across San Nicolas's main square. Mateo paced behind her, tense, silent. Everything was set. They'd arranged a meeting, pretending it was about settling Hospital Vargas's funding. A lie, but enough to lure Thomas Salazar and the board members. Sheriff Ramirez, convinced by Mateo's evidence and Dr. Morales' testimony, agreed to install audio surveillance and a hidden camera. The goal, get them to talk, admit everything. "Estás seguro?" Clara asked, turning to Mateo. "You sure?" He nodded. "They need to think I'm desperate to deal." That's when men like Tomas feel untouchable, and that's when they slip. Clara swallowed. If anything goes wrong. I know, he said, voice low, but I won't let them take someone else. Not again. Footsteps echoed. Sheriff Ramirez entered, nodding. Behind him, Thomas Salazar and 2 men in suits followed. Thomas was the same. Perfect hair, fake smile, eyes cold as stone. Vaya, he said, spreading his arms. Well, Dr. Vargas, or should I say his ghost? Mateo didn't flinch. Let's skip the games. They sat around the oak table. Clara sat beside Mateo, hands folded, heart racing. I want a deal, Mateo began calm. Restart the Daniel Vargas Fund, reopen the investigation, clear my name. In exchange, I walk away. I stay quiet. Tomas leaned back. That's not how leverage works. You disappeared, remember? The world thinks you drowned in guilt. I came back to clean your mess. Tomas chuckled. What mess? Everything you claim is buried. No one remembers Daniel or you. You do, Mateo said, and that's enough. Clara watched the recorder's red light blink steadily. Let's be honest, a board member said. Daniel was a problem. Bright kid, too curious. He got in the way. Mateo's jaw tightened. Tomas nodded. It was unfortunate but needed. You'd have done the same if you had the guts. The words hung. Sheriff Ramirez burst through the door, gun drawn. That's enough. Tomas stood, eyes blazing. ¿Qué demonios es esto? What the hell is this? You're under arrest for planning, medical errors, and attempted murder, the sheriff said coldly. You and your whole operation. The board members froze as deputies entered, guns raised, but Tomas was faster. He pulled a pistol, aiming at Clara. No te muevas. Don't move, he shouted. Mateo moved faster. He shoved Clara to the floor, throwing himself between her and the bullet. A shot rang out, deafening. Mateo stumbled, clutching his side, dropping to one knee. Mateo, Clara screamed. The sheriff tackled Tomas, his gun sliding across the floor. Deputies rushed in, restraining him. Mateo collapsed, blood spreading across his shirt. Clara crawled to him, pressing the wound. Stay with me, Mateo, please. His eyes fluttered. Still hate getting shot. Shut up. Save your strength, she whispered, choking back sobs. Sheriff Ramirez radioed for paramedics. They're coming. Hold on, son. Mateo's hand gripped Clara's weakly. Did we get them? She nodded, tears falling. We got them all. A faint smile crossed his lips. Good. Daniel can rest now. His head fell back, unconscious, as sirens screamed. Clara clung to him, whispering promises he wouldn't die, that he'd come back, not just for her, but for truth, justice, Daniel. The ICU room was cold, too quiet. Machines beeped steadily beside Mateo's bed, each soundproof he was alive barely. Tubes ran from his arms and nose. A monitor tracked his heart, slow but stubborn. Clara hadn't moved from her chair in 24 hours, back straight, hands tight, eyes on Mateo's face. His skin was pale, lips cracked. They removed the bullet, but the damage was deep. The doctor said the next 48 hours were critical. Clara nodded silently, then stayed, vigilant. She refused to go home. A nurse brought coffee. Another offered a cot. Clara said no. She couldn't leave him. Not now. Not after his look when he asked if they'd won. She'd said yes, but hadn't told him the rest. His story, the public's attention, the truth, now spreading like wildfire through San Nicolas and beyond. The sheriff held a press conference, using Mateo and Clara's recordings. Dr. Morales backed every word. Former employees spoke up, sharing what they'd feared to say. Tomas Salazar and the board members were denied bail. Investigations started at state and federal levels. Mateo's name was cleared in hours, but Mateo was still silent. Clara pulled a folded letter from her coat, old, yellowed, creased. She'd found it in Mateo's duffel, buried under evidence. It was addressed. To my brother, if I can't say goodbye. She unfolded it, fingers trembling, and read aloud. Daniel, I was supposed to protect you. That was the deal. Big brother watches your back. But I let you walk into that storm alone. I thought the system would do right. I was wrong. Her voice cracked. She paused, swallowing. They tried to silence me after you were gone. Tried to make me forget you. I never did. Every step since they buried you, I took for you. I became a ghost, not to vanish, but to haunt them until they broke. Clara looked at Mateo's still face. I found your letter, Mateo. I read it. I think Daniel heard you. I think he forgave you before you forgave yourself. She stood, brushing hair from his forehead. You've run enough. It's time to come back. A minute passed, then another. His eyelids twitched. Clara's breath caught. Mateo, she whispered. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused. Then finding her, he blinked, croaked. Did I die? She laughed, tears rushing. Almost, but I wouldn't let you. He tried to smile, wincing. Still terrible bedside manner. You're not exactly easy. His gaze softened. You stayed. I told you I would. Silence passed. In the hum of machines, Mateo whispered, Is it over? Yes, she said, nodding. It's over. You're free. Mateo looked away. I don't know what to do now. I fought so long. I don't know how to live. Clara took his hand. You start small, one day at a time. Maybe with Métis and a sunrise, and someone who won't give up on you. His fingers closed around hers. I don't deserve that, he murmured. Yes, you do. Not for who you were, but who you became. His eyes glistened. I dreamed of justice, he said, but it never looked like this. It never looked like you. Clara smiled, thumb brushing his knuckles. Then stop dreaming and start living. He nodded faintly, exhausted, but with peace in his expression. Clara leaned in, kissing his forehead softly. You came back, Mateo. That's all that matters. For the first time in years, Mateo Vargas closed his eyes, not to escape, but to rest safely beside the one who wouldn't let him go. 3 weeks later, Hospital Vargas reopened, not for an emergency, but a celebration. The parking lot buzzed, news vans lined the curb. People gathered in San Nicolas, not from fear, but hope. A new banner hung at the entrance, deep blue, bold, Centro de Curación Daniel Vargas. In honor of a brother's legacy, Mateo stood at the podium, simple in a white shirt and jeans, boots still scuffed. Beside him stood Clara, calm in a sundress, hands clasped. My name is Dr. Mateo Vargas, he began. For a long time I hid, thinking silence protected my brother's name. But silence made the injustice louder. He glanced at Clara, her eyes meeting his with pride. I'm no hero, he continued. I'm here because one person wouldn't let me give up. Today, we don't rebuild what was lost. We build what should have been, a place of healing for Daniel. The crowd cheered. Some clapped, others cried. Clara reached for his hand. Later, they walked the renamed halls. A mural of Mateo and Daniel, drawn from an old photo, greeted visitors bathed in sunlight. Clara wore a new badge, Director of Community Outreach. Director, Mateo teased. If I'm keeping you out of trouble, I need the title, she said. He smiled, wincing slightly. His ribs still hurt, but the pain was bearable, like the past. I never thought I'd come back. Why did you? She asked. He paused at the mural. Because Daniel deserved more than my silence, and you deserved more than a goodbye. You gave us both everything, she said. Now the rest is yours. He looked at her, voice soft. I want more than this center, Clara. I want a life with you. You already have it. As sunset neared, Clara's eyes wandered to the hills. You still have that horse, Mateo grinned. Always. They left the hospital as golden lights spread across the valley. At Estancia Fernandez, 2 horses waited, and Mateo's old friend and another saddled beside. Clara smirked. You planned this? I hoped you'd say yes. They rode into the open fields, wind brushing their cheeks, thistles dancing. The ridge where Mateo once fell now carried him home, not as a fugitive, but a man restored. This is where you almost died, Clara said. He nodded. But it's where I came back to life. They crested the hill, looking over San Nicolas. The hospital's new sign glowed in the fading light. Mateo slowed his horse, turning to Clara. I chased justice so long I forgot joy. You reminded me. Clara took his hand. No more running, she whispered. Not ever, he said. As the sun dipped, Mateo Vargas and Clara Fernandez rode into the twilight, not as broken souls, but as two hearts healed, ready to live the life they fought for together. Under a sky of gold and promise, Mateo and Clara chose not just to survive, but to live, love, and begin again. From loss rose a legacy of healing. From silence came a voice of truth. From the edge of death came life, reborn in the heart of another. If this story touched your soul, helped you believe in love, redemption, or second chances, please consider subscribing to Timeline Stories. We bring true, heartfelt tales that heal, inspire, and remind you that no matter how dark the night, there's always light at dawn. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and never miss a story that could change your day or even your life. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and keep your heart open.